Good evening, gang. Happy Tuesday night. All right. We have made it this far. Let's see if we get everybody on screen and you guys can hear me and we'll be good. So, all right. Just waiting and waiting and waiting. Nostradamus says five by five. That's good. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Grandma's homemade. How many people here tonight? Healthy Disrespect, Kathleen Maddox, Prep Rebel, Scott McHugh, Peripherally A, Circe. All right. So we got 200 and some odd of us in here tonight. Guess a lot of people are still on the holiday schedule. Either that or nobody cares that we don't have a giveaway tonight. So that's the only reason they come. Oh, well, such as so. So hopefully you guys had a good long weekend. Everybody kind of get back into it today, figuring out what's going on. Enjoy yourself a little bit. We could really use some rain here. I got a kick out of the weather alert that I got a couple hours ago. It's probably about 5 o'clock or so. Thunderstorms should end soon. Really, no rain, no thunder, no nothing. And yes, it was for my area, which was just kind of funny. We haven't seen any measurable rain here in at least a month. I haven't mowed the lawn in over a month. It's crazy since before we were digging all those stumps out. So yeah, and I still don't need to mow. So crazy as it's going on. So let's see, what do we see? If you saw in the evening tonight, just before we came on, I guess there's something like 43,000 pages of the Epstein files have been released. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as people read them overnight and see what kind of comes out in the news tomorrow. There won't be any names in it, of course. That'll all be redacted, so the only thing that'll be in there is, and it was sunny on Tuesday, so whatever. So we won't know anything. It's just more. The good news, I saw a couple of you guys talking about it today. We blew up a Tren de Aragua drug running boat sometime overnight, early this morning, whatever. Killed 11 of those bastards. That's good. Nicolas Maduro was all sorts of worried about the U.S. invading Venezuela. That ain't happening. If we invade Venezuela, it's going to be with some SEAL team or something like that to take him out. That'll be it. But it's not like we're rolling in there with tanks. Not that we really care. We just want to get rid of him. Saw something today about some 40,000 illegals on a trek to the United States have turned around and gone home because all of a sudden, well, they don't want us there. They're not giving us free stuff anymore. Why are we going? We're going to go to Colombia or we're going to go to Chile or somewhere instead. Good. Very good. Thank you. Stay. Didn't ask you to come here. Don't want you here. Got a kick out of some congresswoman in Arizona uh, wanting to go to one of the detention facilities that's holding a bunch of illegals down there. These are my constituents. No, they're not. They're illegals. They're not. Excuse me. They're not anybody's constituents. Maybe they are in Mexico or Guatemala or something like that. But no, they're not your constituents. You don't represent them. They didn't vote for you. They don't have any right to be here. You had Amy Klobuchar yesterday saying that immigrants made this country. I'm like, you're right. Illegal aliens didn't. I'm glad you finally have realized the difference between legal immigrants and illegal aliens. Like, oops, you screwed up with your vernacular there, Amy. You let the truth slip out all of a sudden. And then, of course, you had the fun one. Most of you guys probably saw over the weekend. The liberals were all screaming, "Trump's dead! Trump's dead! He hasn't been seen in 3 days. Yada yada. He must be dead. He's really sick." Until he went out and played golf. And then you had the funniest one. This video started making its way around the internet yesterday about somebody supposedly throwing stuff out a window from the top floor of the White House. And Peter Ducey from Fox News showed Trump a clip of it today, which was hilarious. But well, that must be AI because the windows are all sealed shut. They're bulletproof and they weigh about 600 pounds apiece. Yeah, nobody's opening those to toss stuff out the window. It's like you've got to be absolutely idiotic to be a liberal. It just it, no active brain cells. Subhuman. I mean, they are not intelligent living organisms. You know, if aliens exist and they're looking for intelligent life, they are not going to find it in any of our major cities. That is for sure. But yeah, so that was kind of the fun there. But all that fun, silly stuff here. Uh, somebody made a kind of Sheila there. If YouTube's doing something different, couldn't comment on today's video. Uh, yeah, there, and it drives me nuts too. You guys can't imagine. They change stuff on YouTube. They don't tell the content creators. They don't announce it. They just change it. You guys know all the porn bots that are in there. For those of you guys that catch a video right after I release it, you usually see in the first couple of minutes, you get these bots that are in there trying to get you to go to their website or whatever. And I go in and I delete every one of them. And it's pretty simple. I click on the three dots there and I hit report and report it as pornography. And then it used to be, it'd give me a box to block the user from the channel. This morning, of course, I could report it, but it wouldn't block the channel. So then I had to go do it a second time and go remove the channel, remove the person from the channel. So yeah, they do all sorts of crazy crap that they think is making it better, and it just makes it worse. And you guys know as well as I do that YouTube does not follow their own terms and conditions. Okay. Uh, I can't, I mean, y'all remember a few years ago with COVID and how they were throwing strikes around like crazy. And there were a couple of them that I got that I said, there's nothing in here that would cause a strike. Oh, we're sorry. And they'd rescind it. That happened to me twice. You know, but even then, with other stuff going on now, uh, they don't follow their own terms and conditions. I mean, pornography is strictly forbidden on YouTube, yet they allow these channels to keep going. It's, you know, every day somewhere between 2 and 4 of them on each video. I gotta go and I wait 5 minutes. I go in there they are, click, click, click. So, yeah, it's just something we have to deal with. There's plenty of idiots that use YouTube, and I just get rid of them. We don't need them. Ignore them. You know, they're they're a waste of mom's egg and dad's sperm. So that's pretty much it. All right, let us get into Q&A tonight. See what y'all have on your mind as we are now into that point of cleaning out gardens. Maybe some of you are planting fall gardens, doing some of that. Had interesting stuff where we saw silver close above 40 bucks for the first time this week, or not first time, but first time in 11 years this week. Gold at an all-time high, just a lot of interesting things. So we'll see what's on y'all's mind. So if you got questions for me, please put it in all caps, just like normal. Just makes it easier for me to find the questions in the chat room. The only requirement that we have is that you treat everybody in here with respect. I don't mind disagreement of opinion whatsoever. That's fine. Just do it politely. Right? There's no need to start it off with "you're an idiot." Okay. That goes to every single person in the chat room. That goes to me too. Okay. So you will get tossed. You will not come back if you violate that rule. All right. Let's get to the top here and see what's on y'all's mind and have a little bit of fun tonight, hopefully. Let's see. Robert, what is my least prepared part of my preps? Uh, are you talking about physical or skills? The least skill set I have is probably medical. Uh, I mean, patching up wounds, setting a broken bone, stuff like that, no problem. I can do that sort of stuff. Uh, handling a bullet wound, no big deal. But if you get into something more significant, I could handle a sucking chest wound to get them to somebody who knew how to fix it. I do. I'd have to find a doctor. I could do the medic part of it, no problem. Doing the doctor part, no. But fortunately, we have a couple of people here in our group that are medical professionals, so that helps. So I don't have to know that. If you talk about material goods, my least prepared is probably the same as most people. It's water. Uh, and it's not that I don't have multiple I mean, you guys know I'm on a well. I've got battery backup for my well pump. I live close enough to the lake with all buckets of water if I had to. We built the pond, so it won't be full until next year. But the biggest concern I always have, not only for myself, but for everybody else, is clean water. Because as I've said many times, when people go, "Oh, we live near the lake." Great. How long is that water clean before people are washing their clothes, dumping sewage, you know, peeing in the lake, whatever, that sort of stuff. You're gonna get that. It won't take long before large bodies of water are contaminated, and so hence that's why I built the private body of water and how why we talk about so much about water purification and all the different ways to do it. Because you guys probably know as well as I do, there ain't a whole lot of people outside the community who have herpes or, you know, I mean, good the Idaho one, RO type water filters. They're like, "Oh, I've got it on my house." That's great until the water isn't running, once it's not coming out of the faucet anymore, that doesn't do you any good. So, I'd say my least prepared part, and it's not that I'm in bad shape, but would be water. But I think that probably pertains to everybody. Uh, thank you, Vicky. Some of us are here for you, not for giveaways. I hope you're not just here for me. I hope you're here for everybody in here. I mean, it's so nice coming in when I set this thing up a couple hours early. And I see people in there chatting and talking, and that's more what it's about. Is you guys all getting to communicate with each other. You hear me every day of the week, but when you guys get a chance to converse between each other in real time, that's the most important part because I know there's people in here who have met each other, meeting in here, met each other in real life, have become friends. There's plenty of you guys that have shared things via email, living in different parts of the country. Uh, I mean, I know of a couple of people that formed a mag from meeting each other through the channel. So this isn't about me. This is about all of us. But thank you for saying that. Jay Boo says we get that too, yet no rain. Don't know what they're thinking yet. The Weather Channel's, as I've said many times, the two easiest jobs in the world, be a weatherman or be a stock analyst. You can be wrong 50% of the time and still keep your job. So I always love the weather forecast. There's a 50% chance of rain today. Great. So you didn't feel like getting out of bed. You just said, I'll toss a coin. Okay. It might rain, it might not. thanks for your that meteorology degree is really paying off there. So, seriously, we had a storm the other day out of nowhere, got the forecast map all only all over Murphy, and I had to walk. There you go. Isn't that how it always hits, it's like, it'd be beautifully sunny, it's like, "Oh, okay, walk to the grocery store, walk out, and all of a sudden it's pouring rain." Great, wasn't expected, so, yeah, Murphy's Law, but that's the dog's name. Mainly Maximus broke a tooth eating an almond on Sunday. In my area, even in a dental emergency, the quickest appointment was 7 days out. Keep emergency dental supplies, 'cause, we've got a major, major medical problem in the country. Uh, Dental, anything like this. I mean, sure, you could have gone to the ER and they would have got you to an emergency dentist if it was bad. I mean, real bad. But it's not that long ago, I remember being able to call up my doctor and say, "I'm sick, can I come in?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've got an appointment at 11:30, 12:30, or 2 today." And now they're going, "We've got an appointment at 11:30, on the 11th to 12th or the of October." And you're going, "Well, wait, I'm sick now. I don't need to come see you in 6 weeks." But, yeah, I mean, we've got a major problem, and again, like 99% of the problems we have in this country right now, they all go back to one person, and in a medical case, it's Barack Obama and the Unaffordable Care Act, uh, that just completely messed up everything. How many doctors retired, said, "Forget it, I'm not doing it," stopped taking insurance. You know, you guys have probably seen all the stuff like I have. It's like, "Oh, here's your bill for $4,000. We don't have insurance." "Oh, okay, here's your bill for 300 bucks." Well, what if we don't use our insurance and just pay the $300? "Oh, no, no, if you've got insurance, then it's $4,000." We see that all the time too. The we need a we need a total overhaul on pretty much everything in this country. But, you know, "Oh, socialized medicine would be so wonderful." Yeah, tell that to the Canadians. Let's start taking a look at how well that's working for them. And every time I hear Bernie Sanders run his mouth, go, "It works in Sweden." I'm going, "Great, there's more people in New York City than there are in Sweden." It's like, I don't wanna hear it. Let's see. Romy Davis, "Hotter than the hubs of hell in Texas." I remember those days. Yes, I do. And I mean, whether it was time in El Paso or time in Dallas Fort Worth, yeah, I remember how hot it gets in Texas. It could be miserable. 'Cause the humidity of it, at least when I was in DFW, the humidity was just it would crush you. The dumbest part, the only place that I've ever had that the humidity was worse than Texas was Boston. Those of you guys that live up in the Northeast in Boston, I know, like, Robert's up there, Cersei's up there, stuff like that. There's probably a few guys other ones up there. In the middle of summer, I think I've told you guys this story when I was living up there. The door to my apartment to my car was maybe 50 feet, and I'd leave for work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and in walking that 50 feet, by the time I got to my car, the humidity was so thick, I'd be sweating. It was ridiculous, but yeah. Let's see. Next set. Do I have my wife's kimchi recipe on the channel? It's there's really nothing to the recipe to it, guys. I mean, she chops up the cabbage, the carrots, the garlic, the onions, cucumbers, puts some salt and some kimchi seasoning on it, pushes it down like sauerkraut, puts it in, sticks it in the refrigerator. I mean, we're still eating it. We've still got probably 20 jars from harvesting, the cabbage this summer. It'll last us through the year. Uh, and it keeps fine. It's just it's gotta stay in the refrigerator. It's not something I can put up on the shelves. But there there's nothing to it. It's just cutting vegetables, mixing the spices in there, and filling a jar. Let's see. Chris Bulldog, any suggestions for getting rid of hornworms? They are attacking my tomatoes. You're gonna have to use something, that caterpillar killer that I've mentioned before. Uh, that that's pretty much the only you're gonna have to use something that store-bought. I mean, I won't say it's chemical because that stuff is organic, but, yeah, you're gonna have to spray it with something store-bought. Or the other thing is go pick them off by hand. That's actually a better idea. Rick's Corner, what did I say a while ago about protecting our home title? Some people are gonna disagree with me on this one, but that home title lock thing is the biggest scam out there, okay? There's a lot nobody's going and creating a piece of paper that they printed off the internet, forging your signature and walking into the recorder of deeds office and say, "The house is mine now," and it's being accepted. It doesn't work that way, right? I mean, you've gotta go through a title company, you for those of you that have ever bought a house, you know everything that you go through. You sign a stack of documents this big, I don't care if it's got a mortgage or not, you're still signing a boatload of documents. They've gotta do a title search on it, the title company's gotta notarize all this sort of stuff off on it. Could it be done? Sure, but it's gonna take a massive fraud organization to do it. 'Cause you're gonna have a title company, an attorney, everything to do it. This title lock thing is, in my opinion, somebody will probably come up and say, "Oh, gee, I know somebody who knows somebody whose brother-in-law had this happen to him," okay? But in my opinion, this title lock thing is just a scam. But people will eat it up, and that's how scammers work. "Oh my god, let's scare everybody, and they'll send us $100 a year, and if we can get 1,000 people, we'll make 100 grand, honey, and we don't have to work anymore," right? It'll be what it is. Okay. Patrick King, gold and silver is way up. What's your take on that? I'm a silver guy. I think I may know your take, the big crash. No, you're not gonna hear me say the big crash at all. I still think we got more to go. Uh I didn't look at what the ratio is right now. We're getting closer. I think I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that silver needed to get to be about 42 before the, gold to silver ratio would be 80. Well, we're close to 42 now. I mean, the bid on silver is what, 40.79 or something like that. The ask is over 41. So we're close there, but gold's gonna I personally, I'm not gonna go out on a limb with this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw $4,000 gold by the end of the year at this point, because there's a lot of froth in the market. There's a lot of day trading going on. There's a lot of margin going on in the market. So, does that mean the market's gonna crash? Not necessarily. I don't think that's gonna happen either, but you're gonna have a lot of rotation. You're gonna have a lot of volatility. And when there's a lot of volatility, that's when people get afraid and they start going to safe haven. And right now, the safe haven, as usual, is gold and silver, and then throw Bitcoin in there. Some people call that a safe haven too, which I'm not because that's very volatile as well. But uh, I don't see a big crash for gold and silver at all. Actually, I see a big spike in gold and silver still coming. And yes, I'm still a buyer of silver at this price. Gold's a little out of my budget at this point. You know, I'm sitting on my gold at around, under $2,000 an ounce. I'm not interested in buying it up here at $4,000, $3,500 an ounce. Uh, I mean, is it gonna go up more? Sure, but there's only so much you got. Uh, James Galbraith. So will AI okay, there we go. So will AI reach a point of ridiculous and never be taken seriously, even if finding solutions? See, there's the problem, and you're right, because AI has gotten already, and I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible to be done by AI, but it's already being so abused, and criminals are the first ones to figure everything out, you know that, okay? So, they're figuring out how to turn this into a criminal organization with fraud or I mean, pick anything. And they look and go, "Okay, if we get 1 out of 100 people to fall for it and we can make money off of it," they do it. So you get all this stuff, and people are gonna trust it less and less and less. I mean, think about the internet 20 years ago. You had a password, and everybody remembers at work, they told you, "Do not use password as your password," right? And because people were doing that. And then it was like, "Oh, your password has to be 6 letters." And then your password had to be 6 letters in alphanumeric, and then it had to be 12 letters, and now you've got these passcodes that, auto-generate something for and it's like 30 characters long because people trust it less and less and less and less and less. You've got phony credit card numbers that your bank will give you to use for your online shopping so that you don't enter your actual credit card number, okay? So nobody can steal your credit card number. Got it. I mean, this is the stuff that goes on, and it's gonna be just as bad with AI. Now on the other side of the fence, you gotta remember this too, like I said, the criminals will always be first, but then the good guys can also use AI to counteract the criminality that AI has done. But you hit the nail on the head to the point where nobody will trust any of it, and it becomes useless. Do I see that happening? Probably not. There's going to be good uses for AI, but we haven't seen those yet. Right. Oops, and now we shot to the bottom, so try for more. Okay. All right. Now that was that one. That made no sense. Tennessee Patriot, any ideas on how we guard our privacy from AI? Uh, the one that the the one big scam, and especially for people who have kids or grandkids or off at college or starting out or whatever, you guys have heard all of this of mom, grandma, I'm in jail. I need $2,000 to bail me out. Can you wire it to me right now? And it's in your granddaughter's voice or whatever it is. Send it right here. I need to get out of jail or I need to get my car out of impound or something, right? Have a code word with your kids, you know, and if they don't say the code word, it's not them, you know. Let's say it's puppy. Grandma, hi, puppy. I'm in jail. Send $2,000. I can send her 2 grand. She doesn't say the word puppy. Sorry, thanks. This is fake. Goodbye. Have a nice day. You know, because they'll use stuff like that I'm in jail or whatever. So let me call you right back. They won't let me have my phone. I've got to do, I only get one phone call, which isn't true. You don't get one phone call either. But yeah, in something in those cases, have a code word prearranged with your kids, with your spouse, in case anything like that happens. If you don't say the word, it's not you. Uh, as for online, and as hard as this one is to say, considering I'm online every day, take your pictures down, uh, because there are so many ways now to, especially if you've got kids or grandkids, especially if you've got girls, definitely have them take their pictures off of the internet because all these deep fakes and stuff like that, they can ruin a kid. And there's been stories where girls have committed suicide because other kids thought it was funny to nudify them, I guess, if you will, or superimpose their face onto a porn star and pass it around school and stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff's happened. Uh, that's really hard to do. I mean, obviously, you don't wanna put it out there. It's like, "Oh, here's my Facebook page with all my pictures on it." I get that. You take that's easy to take down. But, there's nothing for somebody, some kid at school to snap a picture of somebody and go, "Okay, cool, now I've got this." And the way AI is working now is it'll take a still photograph and it can make a movie out of the still photograph. You just give it the parameters of what you wanna do, and it'll make the AI will make a movie out of it. And it's AI scares me to death when it's gonna destroy people's lives. I think it's got a lot more destructive capability than it does constructive, my opinion. Fastball, is it too late in the season to plant fall cabbage? If you plant quick cabbage, there's some cabbages that'll go from the time they break ground to the time they head in around 60, 62 days. So depending on where you are, look for your days to maturity, and then when your frost dates are. Now remember, cabbage can handle down temperatures down to, somewhere around 25, 27 degrees. They can handle a frost. Can't handle a freeze, a deep freeze, but they can handle down to 25, 27. So, like, in my area, if I wanted to plant a quick cabbage, I think, like, Jersey Wakefield is a quick one. Here it is, beginning of September. Alright, 60 days is the beginning of November. My first frost date around here is Halloween. So, yeah, I could probably squeeze one of those in. Now, if you're up north, probably not. But I'd say if you're zone 6B or higher, you could probably get away with it. It's fall gardens are always risky because you never know what the weather is gonna be like. I mean, look what's just happened here in the last, week and a half. Everybody went from mid-90s to mid-70s practically overnight. Seriously, should I pull plants now or let them sit for the winter and then pull so the soil gets the nutrients? Depends on what you're talking about. Uh, if you've got root vegetables like, let's say, horseradish or something like that, uh, that you're not gonna pull, they're just gonna get weight, let those keep going because they're pulling up nutrients from way deep in the soil. That helps. But most of your vegetable plants, your peppers, your corn, your tomatoes, I mean, they've only got roots that are 4, maybe 6 inches deep. They're not pulling up nutrients from deep. So that's not gonna make a whole lot of difference. All you're doing is letting them suck whatever nutrients are left out of the soil, and then you're just gonna turn around and let everything decompose right back in the soil. So you're not accomplishing anything with your normal vegetables that most people grow. You're better off pulling them, chopping them up, composting them. You don't even wanna know how much stuff is in my compost pile already, the things that are a mess. Uh, and just let them compost. until you're gonna use the compost in the spring. Scott Langoff, good point. Heads on a swivel. It wouldn't surprise me if Nicaragua retaliates somewhere in the US. Uh, and again, in that case, you got to look at where they've got a concentrated group of people. If I'm around Long Island, yeah, I'm on high alert right now. Down in New Mexico, Arizona, I'm on high alert. Those are the areas that they have a lot of operations. Kitsy Witty, what food storage do you and Mrs. P prefer? Freeze dried or canned or frozen? I do not have a freeze dryer. Uh, and as I've said, I I can't justify the cost. There's only two of us. Okay. I'm not going to spend $3,000, $4,000 on a freeze dryer for it. There is a benefit to freeze dried food. I will say this, and like I've said a million times, there is no one size fits all problem. Okay. Freeze dried food to me is great for portability because it's lightweight. If you know you're going to bug out, you live in an apartment, you got to go somewhere. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier for you to move freeze dried food than canned food. You're not putting a freezer in the back of your car. That's not going to happen. So in that case, yeah, I get having a lot of freeze dried food. For me and Mrs. P, we ain't going anywhere. Like I said, there's only two ways I'm ever leaving this place. That's the forest goes up on fire, or the Chinese come over the hill. Okay. Other than that, they'll bury me. But so in our case, most of our stuff is canned and frozen. Some of it's dehydrated, don't get me wrong, but I mean, that's different than freeze drying. Uh, but for food storage, I'd say 75%, 80% of our stuff is canned and the rest is frozen. Basically, we've got a lot of frozen meat, but then we've got a lot of canned meat. Uh, Almost all of our fruits and vegetables are canned. I do have some corn on the cob in the freezer, and I've got some green beans in the freezer. Uh, but I mean, what, maybe 20 meals a piece of the corn and the green beans, that's about it. Nothing significant. I mean, it's a lot more of what I've got. My vegetables are primarily canned, and then when the meats get canned, that's from making chilies or stuffed peppers or stuffed cabbage or beef stew or something like that. That there's a lot of canned stuff that way too. I'm a believer in backups to backups. Okay. We've got frozen meat, we've got canned meat. If you've ever done both, you know it tastes do the exact same recipe for beef stew, for example. It will taste different when it comes out of a mason jar than when it comes out of a pot you just cooked it. Uh, there are certain things that I'm not a big fan of. Comes out of a can. We make the stuffed peppers. Mrs. P loves them coming out of the mason jars. I'm not the biggest fan. It tastes different to me, but I'm not a freeze dried person. Doesn't mean I disagree with it. It's just it's not worth the expense to me, and I wouldn't have the need for it because it's just the two of us in the house. You got you know 8 people that you plan on having at the house or whatever. I can see freeze drying being very beneficial because it takes up a whole lot less space and obviously a whole lot less weight. Von Mousetrap, what's my least favorite thing to do when prepping? Canning, gardening, the pond, etc. Uh, Cleaning the gardens, what I'm doing now. It I'm the person that likes to create stuff. I mean, you guys know, I mean, I've got furniture in my house I built, my picnic table. I mean, we did their interior garage. I love to create stuff. Planting my gardens and stuff like that, I love to do that. That's creative. Tearing it all out at the end of the year is that's probably the thing I hate the most. Not because I gotta see it all gone. It's just it's all ugly, it's a lot of work, and it's not fun out there ripping up plants and shredding plants up and doing all that, pulling weeds and tearing the garden out at the end of the year. That's probably my least favorite thing to do. It's certainly not going to the range. It's certainly not preserving food or making recipes or canning or harvesting or anything like that. The pond is frustrating, but I've got another plan for it. I know I'll be okay. It's not like there's a whole lot I got to do. It's just I can't, I got to pay somebody to dig a well. That's 300 feet down. It's not like I'm getting a shovel. So, uh, Icky Savage, can I call myself an idiot? Hey, that you're fine with. I do it all the time. It's like, damn it, when I do something stupid, sure. Let's see. Sheila's drawing, crafting, and quilting. When am I pulling my sweet potatoes, and how do I know when I should? I will pull my sweet potatoes this coming weekend because at let's see, there's a second. Yesterday they hit 120 days. Okay. So you want to pull your sweet potatoes somewhere between 120 and 140 days. That's when they're done. Uh, so I didn't feel like doing it on a holiday weekend. I knew when I planted them, you know, it was at May 1st that they'd be done on September 1st. Okay. I'm going to give them that one extra week. We'll see what happens. It's been kind of dry, but they're in hay bales. They should be okay, or straw bales. So we'll see what I get. But just like pulling regular potatoes, it's always the surprise what you get. I've had years. I mean, you guys know I had that one a few years ago. It was the size of my head, sweet potato. And then I've had other years where all I got are these little stringy things. So all depends. But no, I will be pulling my sweet potatoes later this week. Eric Witt, what do I think about the hyper thing on the comments on our YouTube? I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about. Hyper points. Is that the little crown thing or whatever it is? If that's it, I it I think it's stupid. I don't know what it's for, what benefit there is to it, or whatever it is. It's just silly. I don't think anybody's getting on YouTube going, "Oh my god, I've got to do this so I can go get a crown," or whatever. You know, you're coming in here for fellowship, camaraderie, information, entertainment, whatever. It, I don't. YouTube sometimes gets a little self-absorbed and a little full of themselves. Oh, everybody wants to spend 24/7 on YouTube. No, they don't. Scott McHugh, pinball. The stock market has done well this summer. Usually it slows down in the summer. Your thoughts, please. Actually, it's the only reason you say it's done well is because the stock market tanked in April. Okay. I mean, with Liberation Day or whatever it is, I mean, we saw what a 20% drop out to the market, and then we got a recovery out of that. Depending on what you invested in, the stock market's been up, but nothing exciting. Here it is, September, which is notoriously the worst month of the year for the stock market. In case you wonder why, it's because it's the 12th month of the fiscal year. So companies are out of money to spend on anything. And so they don't buy more product or anything, cross company purchases and stuff like that. So stock market, this is notoriously the worst month of the year. Uh, and then we've got the the uncertainty of this whole tariff situation, still that companies are having a hard time figuring out how to price their product because every day the tariffs change. It's like we're going to put 50% tariffs on you. Now we're going to put 10% tariffs on you. And the company's going, well, I just put an order in for, you know, 100,000 widgets to come from that country. Is it going to cost me $1.10 or is it going to cost me $1.50? And so they have a real hard time figuring out how to price stuff. That that's caused a lot of problems. Then, of course, you get this stupid judge the other day who says that the tariffs are illegal, which they aren't. You can go read the Constitution, but judges obviously don't do that. But he's saying, "Oh well, the United States may have to pay back all the tariffs to all these countries." That ain't happening. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. That's not happening. So, uh, but you're right. Usually, the market slows down in the summer. I think it pretty much did. It's just we saw that massive drop in April, and so it when we've come out, you go back and you look and go, okay, what have we done year to date? I think the S&P's up like 9% year to date or whatever, which is good. Okay, it's nothing stellar, uh, but all right. Let's see what we do October, November, December, and then go. I want to be bullish on the market, but I'm still skittish about doing it. I mean, you guys know me. I'm positioned myself pretty conservatively. Uh, but I want to think the market's going to go up from here. I do see a lot of froth and I see a lot of uncertainty. We could be still in the chop for the rest of the year. I mean, we may be hitting the highs now. We may not. You hear some of these people are saying we'll be at 7,200 by the end of the year. I hope they're right. I'm not counting on it, but if they are, okay, that's fine. As I said to Mrs. P, I'm happier just collecting my dividends, maybe get a little bit of growth out of what we own, and we're okay. Shara Mills, how far away from a city do I live? Trying to figure out how far away the zombies will be coming from. Okay, it depends on what you consider a city. If you want to consider I don't want to say major, the nearest major city to me, which is Knoxville, which is a city of 250,000 people, so it's a college, not a major city, but it's the biggest one near me. That's about an hour away. The nearest towns, I guess, a place that's gonna have a grocery store and a drugstore and maybe a Walmart, those are half an hour away from me. So that's what I'm looking at. Beth Wolpert, getting some blackberry starts this week. Do I need to do anything special to the dirt? How far apart should I keep them from either rows on each side? Okay. You're talking about something that grows very, very differently than what you're thinking. You're not going to get a blackberry bush, if you will. You're going to get canes. You can have private canes and then secondary canes. And blackberries and raspberries fruit on second year canes. So you're going to plant them in a row. You can literally plant them 2 inches apart. I wouldn't advise that. Okay, plant them 3 feet apart or something like that, 2 feet apart. But they're going to have all sorts of other canes that are going to fill in between where you plant them. And each year you're going to have to go out and cut off after they fruit the second year canes because once they fruit once, they're done. Okay. Then the prima canes become the secondary canes. Those would be the ones that fruit next year, and you're going to get new canes that come up. They will all grow together. It's not necessarily how far apart you should have. The biggest thing with blackberries and raspberries is you've got to stay on top of it, cutting out the stuff that is no good, because the problem with blackberries and raspberries is they go all over the place. The best thing I've found around to do with them is to in my case, wow, I've got a couple of T-posts on the end, and then I ran wire along the top of the T-post and then about a foot down and then about another foot down. So they had some support to grow into and something to hold on to, hold it up, because otherwise they're gonna flop over, they're gonna be all over the place, it's gonna be a total mess. Uh, I would suggest if you're planting blackberries or raspberries, plant them at an edge of your property somewhere, and if it spreads off into the woods or whatever it is, that's great, because the problem once you plant them, getting they spread and spread and spread, and getting rid of them is practically impossible. Uh, Lady Luger, my biggest worry is communication if and when the cell phones go down. We've talked about this many times, about having alternative forms of communication and what everybody's situation is gonna be different depending on where you are, all right? To have walkie-talkies, for example, buy cheap walkie-talkies, that's great. You're gonna be able to talk from, maybe a half a mile or something like that if you're lucky, but the problem is you're broadcasting to everybody. Anybody can hear it. So then you talk about two-way radios where you're on a specific frequency, and another radio has to be tuned to that frequency, otherwise they're not gonna hear you, so that helps you get a little bit greater distance. But then you also have CB radio, which is nice more for listening a little bit further out here, and you can different channels, stuff like that, so you can maybe get some local area news. Then, of course, you get ham radio that you're gonna be able to use all over the place. And then, people talk about GMRS or something like that. Okay, there's another way to there's a lot of different things you need to do, and you need to have multiple ways to communicate, but you need to be smart about it, is what what do you think is going to happen? If we have an EMP, most of that stuff is fried, okay? So it's not gonna be any good. And, you've got a CB radio, "Oh, I put it in a Faraday cage." Well, that's great, but if nobody else has one, you're gonna be listening to static all day long. So there's gotta be somebody on the other side who's doing that too. So you look at things like that. Communication is going to be very, very tight. It's gonna be a lot of word of mouth. There's not gonna be, "Hi, mom," you know, "Oh, everything's going good up here in Toledo. How are things down in Baton Rouge?" That's not you're not gonna be having those conversations. And if you are, it's gonna be few and far between via ham radio. Both people are gonna have to know how to do it, and you're gonna have to have a set time. It's like, "All right, every other Tuesday at 7 PM Eastern, that's when I'm gonna get on this channel and get a hold of you," because nobody's gonna be sitting around a radio all day going, "Well, I'll just monitor the radio and see what happens." You know, that's not gonna communication is gonna be very different than what a lot of people expect it to. Uh, Tracy Newth, where to start with a well water backup? Way too many way too many variables to even answer this question. I mean, I don't know. Can you do a shallow well? Do you need a deep well? Can you do a hand pump? I mean, the first thing I would start with is if you're in an area where people have wells, the very first thing I would ask is the neighbor or whatever, how deep is your well? If they go, my well is 10, 12 feet, you may be able to put a well in yourself. If they go, my well is 800 feet, you're going, okay, it's going to cost me 20 grand, 30 grand. What am I going to do? Am I going to do this? Uh, the very first thing you need to do is find out if it's even feasible and how deep you'd have to go. Uh, and then from there, that's going to tell you next what your options are. Red Bimmer, why do I need a separate well for my pond? Uh, okay, because we've tried to use the main well for the house, okay? And the way the vein of water is in the mountain is me, my neighbor up top, who's up above me on the hill, and the one who's across the street over. We all think we're in the same vein, and I've tried to pump water out into the well or into the pond before, but if I go out and water gardens for 8 or 10 hours in the summer, by the end of the day, you come in and turn the sink on, the water's yellow, okay? And it will just we're getting down into that silt in the water, so it's not a very full reservoir. So considering the pond is 2 acres away from the house, we're hoping that we'd hit a different vein over there that nobody else is on. We can figure out which way the veins run because it can come from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain, water flows downhill. So there's not nobody on that same horizontal or vertical that would be on that. So if we're right and we hit a different vein over there, that would be the only thing we'd be pumping in, and even if the water was yellow going into the pond, I don't care. But drinking that water, even after it's been filtered, I burn through a filter in the house, which usually lasts 90 days in an afternoon. So that's why. Steph L, I got my water purifier on a as a prize on a live stream. I love it. There you go. Know exactly which one it would be too. Terry Hardaway, oh, look, new pop-up ads covering chat. See, I don't see that. I've never seen that before. So there's some things that I don't, and I'm in the same thing you are. I'm just looking at the regular YouTube screen here. I use the Brave browser, which has got a built-in pop-up block or built-in ad blocker into it, so I don't see that. Maybe that's what it is. S. Cook, do water purification tablets take out bacteria and chemicals? No, not at all. They'll kill the bacteria, yes, but they don't take the chemicals out of the water. So nothing like that. I don't know what's okay. We got 3 minutes. Back to basics. I'd love to meet any of you who are in Jefferson, Cochran counties. Uh, Diane, y'all remember Diane helping me out like crazy last year with hurricanes. Yeah, anybody that's out in a little further East Tennessee than me, that's all that. Broke Stacker, in all seriousness, is there such a thing as water fatigue? I'm wondering if I should stack some sugar or drink mixes. I've got I'm gonna say yes, okay? Uh, y'all know how it is. I mean, sometimes it's like, "Oh my god, I just want a bottle of water," and you drink that. But then there's other times like, "Oh my god, a glass of lemonade or something." I've got packets and packets and packets and packets of these drink aid or, the Kool-Aid, even the off-brand, that most of what I've got is the drink aid, the Kool-Aid knockoffs, the little packets that you'd add some sugar to it or whatever, uh, and make a pitcher of Kool-Aid because, yeah, you're gonna want some flavor in something, and if you've got kids, they're gonna certainly want something that'll be like a great treat, you know, "I need you to go out and pull all the weeds in the garden." "Oh, mom, you do that, I'll give you a glass of grape Kool-Aid when you come back." And the kid would go, okay? So you could use it for something like that, but yeah, I'm certainly gonna say water fatigue. It's like, "Oh my god," how many times do you go, "I want a lemonade," or "I want a glass of juice," or "I want a Coke," or something? Because sure, there's people that only drink water, I get it, but you want coffee, you want tea, you want something that's got a little bit of flavor to it. One more. Eric Witt, I've got 2 other IBC totes going to my cabin before my clients get to my cabin for the WMA black bear hunt in October. Y'all do YouTube. I do a wild hog and bear hunt. Also, I have a lake too. There you go. Well, cool. Uh, Not going to say I've ever been bear hunting. I can say I've wrestled a bear. You guys know that's, but have fun with that and enjoy taking all your clients out on the hog hunt. I'm going to guess what you're doing something like that. It's probably a helicopter hog hunt. But all right, guys, it is 9 o'clock. I will let you all get over to Angry Prepper. I don't want to step on his toes. Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Ball out.